Brought to you by Capital One. Capital One wants to build a better bank, one that feels and acts nothing like a typical bank. It's why they're reimagining banking by offering accounts with no fees or minimums and one of the best savings rates in America. You can open a Capital One account from anywhere in 5 minutes. That's banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One, N.A.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get pizza delivered right to the beach, the quad, or the dog park. Not at home? Not a problem. Find a Domino's hotspot near you and get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each. 2-item minimum. Handmade pan pizzas will be extra asked for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's hotspots.
Glad you're with us on the start of the NFL's regular season in 2018. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio und ESPN News. Presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And that, of course, the dulcet tones, Mike, of Darius Rucker.
Yeah, he'll join us in about a half hour, and I think we could really tick him off by just keep playing his music and us just keep singing it.
Yeah, actually, is there a way to pot down his vocals?
His voice and just let
play
us
the music
sing
and let
it
us
and
sing
butcher
it.
his song and really, really make him
Because
happy.
what could possibly go wrong that way? We have got a lot to get to as the season is here, and yea, verily, the trumpets let us know that it is time to be awash. Stanzik, what is it? You wanted to say something? Okay, didn't? Okay, just checking. I said that. You want to get in touch with us? Get in touch with us, 1-800-Flowers.com, Twitter feed, at Golic and Wingo, or call in 860-506-5505. We have got a lot to get into, and let's do it now, as we are delighted to be joined by our NFL insider, author, and host of the Adam Schefter podcast, Adam Schefter, giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. We'll get into what my summer reading was and your summer writing was in just a little bit. But Adam,
did you read it?
I did.
Wow, okay, great.
Very good.
He's a reader. He is a book reader, without question.
Mike last read a book, never.
My wife will read this book, and then she will explain it to me.
That's okay. You get the audiobook there, too.
Cool.
So we'll get into that in a minute. But this Le'Veon Bell situation has become muy caliente.
Well, let me say this to you. When you get teammates talking about another man's financial situation, that is very rare.
Stunning.
And that speaks, I think, to a larger issue, right? I mean, I've covered the league now 28 years.
Yeah.
There have been only a handful of times where you get other teammates talking about another teammate's financial status. Now, look, again, I think that speaks to bigger issues than Le'Veon Bell.
Without question.
Not being there, whatever those are, whether the team has issues with him, he has issues with the team, whatever it may be. That is so rare when you hear that type of conversation.
Well, and some people were tweeting, and well, maybe this is a sign of the times of social media. But listen, we just went through Khalil Mack, Odell Beckham, Aaron Donald, and you didn't hear any teammates, in an interview or on Twitter,
you don't do that.
Blasting.
You don't do that. And here's the thing: you could say if these offensive linemen said, "Look, we don't need him to win," or "James Conner's great," or "We're going to go into Cleveland on Sunday without Le'Veon Bell and win the game." I got no problems with any of that.
Right.
But when you start talking about that's not right.
Listen, the last time we could remember doing it was Strahan and Tiki Barber in 2002 when Tiki made some comments about Strahan's deal, and that relationship was never the same. Those two did not get along in any way, shape, or form. So we have that when people openly talking about, hey, I make 1/7 of what he's making and I do the work for him, basic blocking. That's unheard of. So, Adam, now it becomes a question. Is it becoming an untenable situation for Le'Veon Bell to return to Pittsburgh?
Look, I think we all agree it's going to be his last year in Pittsburgh, period. So now, Trey, we saw each other in the halls of ESPN, and you said to me, could they trade him? And I'm not saying no. I just don't think it's possible to do it.
Take us through how it would work.
Here's the premise of this. A franchise tag player can be traded, and teams can work out any compensation they like. They can deviate from the two first-round draft picks that a franchise player's tag new team must give him to his previous team if the player is signed to an offer sheet not matched by its previous team.
Okay.
So it's possible.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
Let's come up with a running back needy team right now that's probably out of conference, I would think. Although, give me a team that you think would make sense as a landing spot. But how about this? The San Francisco 49ers.
I was about to say
just going to say the 49ers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so let's just use them as a hypothetical, pure hypothetical. 49ers want to trade for Le'Veon Bell, which would make a lot of sense. It'd be a great thing. First of all, he'd have to sign his franchise tender to be traded. He cannot be traded unless he signed the franchise tender. And if you're the 49ers right now, basically, you'd have the cash and the cap space to do something, but he can't sign a long-term deal this year. So now you're trading for a guy who will be a free agent after this year, who already has been franchise tagged twice, who you basically, by and large, don't have the ability to keep short of using a third straight prohibitive franchise tag on him, which would be 144% of his salary from this year.
Right, they wouldn't do that. It would be like the Kawhi Leonard situation, right? Where Kawhi said he wants to be with the Lakers, Toronto trades for him, and then prays that they can sign him at the end of the year. That's what the 49ers would be doing, correct?
Okay, so that would be the situation. So Pittsburgh would have to be willing to move on from a guy where Ben Roethlisberger's in the latter part of his career, where they're poised to contend, even win a Super Bowl, and you'd have to see that James Conner can do it. So what would the compensation be in a case like that? I'm guessing for Le'Veon Bell in this case, it would be, off the top of my head, a 2. A 2. Is it worth it to Pittsburgh to trade Le'Veon Bell for a 2? To be clear with that?
Well, they're not getting it. If they walk away in free agency, they're getting a compensatory pick.
Correct. There'd probably be a 3 that they get back. It'd be a 3 in 2020.
So you're saying take the chance, hang on to him, even if it's for the last 6 games of the season?
He's got more value to Pittsburgh than any pick you're going to get back in return.
I think I would agree with you. Given what you said that price tag would probably be, I think I would agree with you on that. And for the fact that if it were the 49ers, they would still have a shot at him at the end of the season anyway. And wouldn't give up anything.
So yes, Trey, a trade could happen, but it is very difficult to make it happen.
Yes. Well,
that's all.
Well, listen, difficult might be the word to describe this entire situation with the way this has gone down. Perhaps here's the most important question for fantasy owners like myself. When do you think Le'Veon Bell is going to show up?
Well, I don't believe he'll wait long.
Yeah.
How about that, Trey? I don't believe it's going to be one of these 8, 9, 10-game holdouts where he comes in October, November so that the contract doesn't toll and that he clinches the fact that he can become a free agent after this year. Keep in mind that the Steelers, once he does report, can put him on a 2-week commissioner exempt list.
Sure, right.
In which case they don't have to pay him at that point in time. So if he reported today, which he's not going to do, then he might not play until week 3. But I think you'll see him at some point in the first month of the season, Trey. I don't think it's going to be an extended, prolonged hold. That would be my guess, my reading to the situation. You're trying to interpret all the signs and signals and smoke screens. But I'll also say this. You wonder if the comments and conversation yesterday changed the equation to where he says, you know what? I'm not going until later. I mean, I'm just saying like that. And now even when he does come back, it's
how invested is he?
This is what I wonder, too.
Well, I always thought, and from a fantasy standpoint, Trey, no disrespect to the squad that you drafted in our 16-team war room.
He was sitting there at 12. I had to take him.
I know.
I had to take him.
I was never taking Le'Veon Bell this year, not because I don't believe he's not one of the top 2 or 3 backs in the league, but because his goal is to get to march into free agency this year. And if he bangs that knee or bangs that shoulder in November, whereas many players would play through that, is he playing through that when he's got free agency around the corner? I don't know.
I guess that's why I wonder if he's not showing up for week 1, why would he show up by week 4? Because all this is about now, it's not about money. As we all know, he can't make any more money or any less money. Well, the less is $855 a week, $855,000 he misses. So his whole thing now is protecting the touches.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he's doing it
protecting the touches and securing the bag.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Oh, he's going to secure the bag.
I wonder why he would come back in a month then. Well, I mean, and unless it's out of just wanting to be there for his team, which just basically all ripped him publicly. Now, I really wonder, as a former player now, what's going to happen behind the scenes. Are those guys going to talk? Is it the better friends on the team for him? Are they going to call and they're going to talk to one another and try and hash things out that way? I don't know if that gets him in any earlier, but that's what it's all about now, right? His comfort level of missing time with the Pittsburgh Steelers and his teammates as opposed to the lack of touches.
Well, it's for every game he misses, it's $852,000+ out the window. He's basically saying goodbye to.
Right.
$852 per week, plus, again, the idea that the Steelers could basically deactivate him or put him on that list for 2 weeks for another $1.7+ million. So you're saying goodbye to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars here. Now, saying that, You look at what Todd Gurley just did, signed a 4-year, $60 million extension, $45 million guaranteed. If Le'Veon Bell bids goodbye to $4, $5, $6, $7 million this year, what does it matter when you're going to go sign a $70 million contract?
Well, that's the point I was going to make. That's sort of the way Khalil Mack thought about this entire season. He was willing to sacrifice, we believe, $13.8 to get what he got.
And by the way, Odell Beckham Jr.,
yeah,
if he hadn't signed that contract, I don't know that he would have been there for the opener. Right, I don't know that he would have been willing to step on the field. Do you think it was coincidental? I know it was very easy to say, well, yeah, he's coming off the injury last year, so we're not playing him in the preseason. But my belief and sense would be that was as contract-driven as anything else. And if the contract hadn't been worked out, I don't know that we would have seen Odell Beckham Jr. in week 1.
Okay, so we have the one holdout that is still going on. That's Le'Veon Bell. We have another one, Mike.
Another one, not even a holdout. He showed up. Earl Thomas. So how long do we think he's there? Pete Carroll says he's a Seahawk, but the Cowboys offered a 2 for him. They turned it down. Where do we think that's headed?
Look. Here's the deal. Within the last week, Dallas increased its offer to a second-round draft pick. So clearly the Cowboys want him, and they need him. And he's from Texas. And we all know how much Earl Thomas would like to go play there.
Campaign for it as a Seahawk.
Seattle, which is a team I think is going to be better than people realize this year because people have kind of written them off because so many players, veteran players, love. They're in a transformational period here where they're jettisoning some older, more expensive talent for younger players and picks. So, to me, moving on from Earl Thomas, as great a player as he is, a future Hall of Famer, would be logical for this team at this point in time. But the Seahawks have been adamant that they're not just going to give him away. And if we think about last year, the Seahawks traded a 2nd and 3rd round pick for left tackle Dwayne Brown, a 2 and a 3. Is Earl Thomas as good or as valuable as Dwayne Brown?
Yeah.
So that's where the Seahawks are not budging.
They're not going to get a 1. We're not talking about it up until 1. You're talking about a 2 and other picks.
Well, maybe Josine Anderson said yesterday that they want a 1. I don't know.
I'd be stunned.
Well, but maybe Dallas goes, okay, it's a 2 and a 5 or a 2 and a 4.
Right.
Or we give you a 2 and then you give us your 6 and we'll give you our 4. I'm making this up.
Right.
There are so many permutations.
This is radio. That's what we do. We make it up.
Okay. There are so many permutations. But here's the bottom line. I think eventually we're going to get to the point. I think Seattle is going to be open and willing to move on from Earl Thomas in season. Now, the other part to this is that Seattle plays on Sunday when it opens its season at Denver.
Yeah.
Week 2 at Chicago. Week 3, the Seahawks home opener, Dallas Cowboys. So wouldn't it make sense on the Monday of week 4
just go back on the team plan?
Exactly, Earl. You go back with the Cowboys like Dwayne Brown last year. The Texans played in Seattle.
Absolutely.
And then he got traded out. He could have just stayed.
Yeah.
So that would make a lot of sense to me. And again, we could get this deal done now. Look, the Seahawks said no to the 2. So we're willing to barter these picks, right?
Absolutely
so it's a 2 and that extra compensation, Mike.
Look, we can figure everything out here.
Yeah, exactly. It's radio.
Money.
That's what we do.
In this studio, we can figure the whole thing out. Adam Schefter is with us, NFL insider, the host of the Adam Schefter podcast. And you wrote a book this summer called The Man I Never Bet, which is a fascinating story about a man named Joe Mayo. Now, for those that don't know, please explain the significance of Joe Mayo in your life.
Joe Mayo was my wife's late husband, and he lost his life on 9/11. And we did a feature on ESPN on the 15th anniversary of 9/11, which was the opening day of the 2016 season. And we did it after my wife had said to me, it would be nice to acknowledge Joe and talk about him, which surprised me because she's so intensely private about everything. But when she said that, I've always had this great fascination and respect for Joe. And so to me, it was my pleasure. And the great producer here, Greg Jules, signed off on doing that. And we put it out. And that piece generated more reaction than anything I've ever done in 28 years. And it's not even close.
Yeah.
And so there were people who thought, not me, people who thought, well, we should take that 6-minute piece and turn it into a 200-page book, much more personal, much more detailed than we did. And the book was released Tuesday. And you read it, Trey, so you tell me.
It was, it was phenomenal. It was great. I knew the subject matter going in. I saw the piece that you guys did on Countdown. Greg Jules, one of the best we have here. But as you said, the book is much more personal.
That's how tough did that have to be?
Yeah. I mean, how cathartic was this for you? Or how interesting was it for
you?
Well,
I thought about it, actually. I don't know, and maybe it has. We could have ESPN stats and research check. Has anybody ever written a book about their spouse's first partner.
I mean, I'm sure it's possible. I'm sure it's likely, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I certainly can't. Yeah, start listing them off.
It's a unique premise.
Yeah.
And it was a difficult thing to do. But again, that's our life. And from that day, there are thousands of these stories. Thousands. There are people who have stories that they'll never get past, that are in their soul for the rest of their lives, that have impacted them and changed them. And again, it's no different from my parents who lost their best friend, and friends I grew up with who lost their dad, and fraternity brothers of mine who lost their life. And my wife happened to lose her husband that day. And so this was a chance to basically honor his memory and to pay tribute to my wife for the strength and toughness that she showed once she lost him, and to give our son something to read about his father when he gets older. Would love if he had read it, but he's a freshman in college. Trey, he's busy.
He's doing some other things.
But he will have a chance one day to know the man that he didn't get to know better through this book. And I've said this to a couple of other people, but I gave this book to some people this summer to read. And there's a woman who works in a shop near my house who makes my smoothie every morning. And I gave her the book, and she said, I read the book, and I could not believe how glowingly you spoke of Joe. And so I said, he can't be that good. He can't be that charismatic. He can't be that respected and that successful and that handsome. So I went onto his memorial page, and I read the comments that were written about him. And actually, you undersold him in the book, according to all the people who wrote on his page. And that, honestly, was the number one aim of this book, was to honor his memory and show people the kind of guy that he was. He was 32. He was enormously successful. He had just moved to Long Island. They had just moved into a house. They had been married for 3 years. They had a 15-month-old son. And who could imagine having everything in the world at the age of 32 and then having your life snuffed out just like that? It's hard to comprehend.
Yeah. How tough was this for your wife? I mean,
you know what, Mike? In all honesty, this was not any tougher for my wife than the life that she's led. The hard part was that she had to go back and relive the darkest days of our life. But one of our producers here, Dominique Collins, when she did the story that ran on TV, interviewed my wife for 3-4 hours. We had the transcripts from that day. So I didn't have to make my wife sit down and go through it again.
Right.
She had gone through it. And so this was more along the lines of remembering the man that Joe was and talking about the lives that went on and the lives that were interrupted, and the Mayo family, which has demonstrated remarkable strength and resiliency with everything that they faced, right, Trey? Like everything in that book, Paula and George Mayo. So it'll sound great. It wasn't any harder to do the book than to live the life that they led. This is just a part of their life.
Was it cathartic for her as well?
Well, she didn't read the book till about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. And
that was very scary for me, Trey, because I wondered, is she going to walk upstairs and say, I hated it? Right. And if she says, I hate it, like, there's nothing well, honey, it's print.
It's printed.
It's out there. We're done.
And I'm going to be going
around
I
was never going to force her to read. I can't do that. She was going to read it when she wanted to read it on her timeline. I can't say, honey, okay, I just finished chapter 8.
Check it out.
She's not like that. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. She was picking the book up to read it when she was ready. And for whatever reason, she was ready a few weeks ago. She started to read it, and when she got done, she came upstairs and she was crying. She was very emotional, and she was crying and went on and on about the fact that she felt so bad for Paula and George, and for herself and for Devin. And look, you never want to see your wife cry, but the fact that she was crying told me that the book resonated with her. So the fact that she felt good about it, really loved the book. Honestly, that was all that really mattered to me in the end.
Listen, it's a fascinating read, and again, you can go through it pretty quickly. It's 200 pages.
I just got the text already from my wife saying, bring me the book.
Yeah.
And I promise you, this is the thing. We've given the book to people, and my wife would say, she's a glass half-empty person. I give it to friends, and I said, they loved it. And she said, well, what do you expect them to say? They're your family and friend. I said, okay, but here's the thing. 20 people have now read it, and the one thing, you could say that you loved it, but every single one of them said they read it in one sitting.
Yeah.
And there's no way that you just read it in one sitting, even if you like that person. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's coming with me on the trip.
And again, the book is The Man I Never Met by Adam Schefter, a memoir about Joe Mayo, your wife's first husband who passed away on 9/11. Adam, the book was great. I too read it in one setting. It was great. And you've given people hope with that book, and you've given me hope by taking Le'Veon Bell 12th in the fantasy draft. He was sitting there at 12. I had to. Yeah. I had to.
Boom or bust, Trey.
That's exact. All in.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get pizza delivered right to the beach, the quad, or the dog park. Not at home? Not a problem. Find a Domino's hotspot near you and get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each. 2-item minimum. Handmade pan pizzas will be extra asked for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's hotspots.
Support for the Golic and Wingo Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying homes for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a whole lot of anxiety with folks. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about it. They're calling it the power buying process, and here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, they lock your rate for up to 90 days while you shop. Now here's the best part. If rates go up, your rate stays the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. You win either way. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Golic. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data record. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030. Like my mama said.
This was a good melody. I mean, there's a bunch of good singers on this, and he's one of them.
Well, yeah, this is with Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan, Charles Kelly.
Like he's one of them.
The video is really cool, too.
They're all basically cowboys.
Yeah.
Going to a saloon.
And all getting hammered. Yeah. So, it's cool.
If you're going to go back to olden times.
Oh, I'd love
Give me the saloon days.
I would love to be great at, like, the duel, the shooting. Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing. You got a little extra card somewhere in your vest, all that kind of stuff. So basically, what we're saying is we're delighted
to
be joined on the phone by Grammy winner and friend of the show and longtime friend of yours. I'm sort of a newcomer to this.
And he makes us say Grammy winner.
Yeah, well, that's everybody has a rider in their contract.
Say Grammy winner.
It says, must say Grammy winner. Yeah. Darius Rucker. So Grammy winner Darius Rucker joins us this morning. How are we, my friend?
I'm good. You're supposed to say 3-time Grammy winner.
Oh, see, there it is. There it is. Man. Hey, cue that Luke Bryan song for the next rejoin next time Darius is on the show with us, will you?
Oh, my gosh. There you go. That's
and by the way, neither one of you guys want to live back in those times because you'd both be shot. You'd both be dead instantly. So, come on.
Yeah, but what a way to go.
That had to be so much fun shooting that video, but I think it would be awesome to live back in those times.
Yeah.
I do, too. And it was fun making that video. I mean, the four of us together all day in a bus with unlimited alcohol was a lot of fun,
yeah. Nuance is always important.
Yeah, there we go.
Context is always important. Exactly. All right, speaking of context, listen, we love having you on. Obviously, there's a huge game this weekend.
Oh, boy.
South Carolina, your alma mater, taking on Georgia. When was the last time you were excited for the first time about a South Carolina game?
I guess I got kind of excited last year, but I haven't been excited like this in years. I mean, it's tough playing in the SEC because it's the second week and our playoff starts. This is a playoff game for us. We lose this one, it's a regular season. So, Georgia's a big rival. Coming to Williams-Brice, no one's giving us a chance. Those are the games we win.
You guys are 10-point dogs in this one. You lost to them last year, 24-10, but like you said, you played them later in the season. So, we saw last week 4 ranked teams play. This week there's 2. There's Stanford against USC and you guys jumping into the rankings at 24 and Georgia sitting at number 3. Do you like having this kind of game early in the season or would you rather wait a bit?
Oh, I'd much rather wait a bit. You'd rather get the team going and you really know what you have as a team to play a game this big. But we're just used to playing Georgia. Every now and then we play them late, but usually we play them early in the season. So we're used to it. And Kirby Smart's doing such a great job in Athens. With they're already a national powerhouse after he's been there 3 years or something. So I'd rather play it late, but we'll take them now.
Darius Rucker's with us. Sorry, 3-time Grammy Award winner, joining us on Golic and Wingo this morning. Okay, we know you love music. We know you love football. We know you love the Dolphins from the video way back in the day with Hootie. What do you think? What are your concerns with the Dolphins this year as they get set for basically what is a make-or-break year for Ryan Tannehill?
Oh, goodness gracious. Are you going to give me the rest of the show?
Yeah, go ahead. Listen, we do this every day. You can talk as long as you want.
It's going to be a tough year for the Dolphins. This is Tannehill's make-or-break. First of all, he's got to stay healthy. And then, when you got guys like Jay Ajayi and Jarvis Landry on your team one year, and next year they're not on your team, and that's a lot of talent you've let go. But I'll tell you, my bad moment with the Dolphins came when my son and I went out and bought Madden, and we brought it home. We were about to play, and I realized that the Dolphins were number 32. We were the wrong team in the game.
No.
Yeah, I realized we were in trouble at that point. Yeah. We're not going to be very good.
So do you not think they're going to be? Are you waiting for wholesale changes then? Are you one of those guys that said, okay, make the changes, let's move on to the next group?
No, I wanted to keep Landry and James. I thought they were two great players that we could build around, but we got rid of them, and now it's just like I don't know I don't know who we're building around right now. I guess Tannehill, but he still hasn't proven to the world that he's a franchise quarterback. So I really wish I knew what was going on with the Dolphins, but I still love them. I just don't expect much from them.
So I guess that would mean in the first week of the DraftKings in our group thing, will you not be taking anybody on the Dolphins then for your team?
I can honestly say I've done that. I've switched that twice on our DraftKings, and no, I'm not taking anybody from the Dolphins this week. Or probably not a lot of weeks. I don't think I'll be taking anybody from the Dolphins.
You were so loyal to him last year, and that's what put you in last place in our group.
Dude, how am I always in last place? I'm better than Wingo. I know that.
Well, apparently not. Right? I'm just putting that out there. You're better than me in a lot of things. I'll concede that, but the data suggests in this one distinct category that is not true.
I finished the last 2 years in a row, and there's people in the league that don't even really pay attention, and I don't know. I guess I'm just a really bad fantasy football player. It's so bad for me. I just did my last 2 drafts, and I was the first pick in both drafts. In one league, I'm putting together the draft lineup. I'm the commissioner. And it punched me in the face that I went 1-12. Oh. How do you go 1-12 in a fantasy football league?
Wow! Somehow you're finding a way.
Dude, I went 1-12.
Well, and along
that's almost impressive.
Darius Rucker joining us, 3-time Grammy winner here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. How many? Just so people get how you're so into this. How many leagues are you in?
I'm in 7 leagues. I'm the commissioner. I'm a commissioner of 6 of them. Yes.
Now, are any of these leagues, the one thing we show on that fantasy marathon, which a couple of years ago you joined us on and as part of the draft, and you had to leave to do a sound check, I think, during or whatever.
Exactly,
it's pretty
right.
wild. How many of these have crazy, if you finish last type situations, that things you have to do?
Oh, no. I wouldn't be in one like you got to get a tattoo or anything like that. I wouldn't be in that league. No, I'd be totally out. But pretty much every league we have, we have a big party for the draft, and if you finish in the last place, you have to pay for it.
Well, that
could be a pretty good one.
That's pretty good, although it seems like getting off light from some of the things we see from some of these leagues that Matthew Berry and those guys put up there. It's absolutely ridiculous. Darius Rucker, 3-time Grammy Award winner, joining us. Okay, now I have to assume that if game day goes to South Carolina, you'll probably be the celebrity picker that week. Can you do anything to help Golic? He tried to be the celebrity picker last year at
last week
at Notre Dame.
Bryan, he's something.
When they went up there and they were like, yeah, we're good. So we need you to give him a little street cred the next time this happens. Maybe they can make him the celebrity picker on game day.
All right, definitely. I'll call my boy Herbie, and I'll call Desmond, I'll get you hooked up, Mike. You deserve to be the guest picker one day. So even though you'll probably go like 3-8 or something, but I can hook you up with that.
I probably would. You probably do pretty good at it. Exactly. Though we would make it a competition between you and I and betting on who would do better. So again, we're talking to Darius Rucker on tour right now. Actually, you'll be so go behind the scenes a little bit and tell everybody you're on tour with Lady Antebellum. How you're going to work it Saturday? I believe I just pulled up. You're going to be in Pittsburgh, I believe, for the tour.
Yes.
Your game, Georgia, South Carolina, luckily for you, is a day game. It's at 3:30. So tell everybody the amount of TVs you're going to have out there watching that.
We have about 6 huge TVs. They're all in cases, and I'm sure they're all going to be up because Charles and Dave went to Georgia.
Oh boy!
Antebellum.
You guys got a bet going? You got a wager?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot. We're having a big afternoon party, and we'll all be sitting around watching it together. And, that's going to be a big thing in our group on Saturday.
So in the wager, you taking the 10 points, you go straight up?
Man, I'm taking the 10 points.
That's fair.
I think we're going to win, but I'm not crazy.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's called covering yourself more than anything else.
Exactly, Trey.
Darius Rucker, 3-time Grammy Award winner, 2-time DraftKings loser on our draft, joins us this morning. So
Jake's wife Jenny is beating you, Darius. It's just horrific.
It's so bad. Your wife and Jake's wife and your daughter are all talking trash to me. That's how bad I am.
But
they're all talking trash.
But thanks, because it makes great content for us.
Yes, it does.
So we have to ask this question, Darius. We have to have this question of anybody that's on the show because the NFL season starts tonight. Your Super Bowl predictions are who?
I'm going to go with out of the limb here, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but listen, I just got to feel it. I'm going to go Titans.
Whoa. Wow.
No, I take that back. Taking that back. Jaguars. I'm going Jaguars. And Jaguars, oh my goodness. Jaguars, Giants. Odell Beckham's going to win MVP.
Wow.
So in other words, the matchup
week one will be the Super Bowl.
One of the first games of the year will be the last game of the entire season.
Wow.
Absolutely. Jaguars, Giants. There you go.
That's a pretty good one. All right. As far as your touring, one thing, you're a friend of so many athletes out there. Love coming to your shows. Who is the best athlete golfer? That's obviously something else you love. We just had Marino on yesterday, and let me tell you, he just boasted about how much better he is at golf than you. So who is the best athlete golfer out there that you've golfed with?
First of all, I would whip Dan right now. I'm playing the best golf of my life. And probably the best athlete golfer I've played with, Sterling Sharp.
Oh, really? Yeah, he does.
Sharp.
By the way, for those that don't know,
no one hits it further.
Oh, my God.
He does.
He drives 357 yards.
It's ridiculous.
And what he did that was great, he never played golf while he was playing. So he never picked up a bad habit.
Right.
So he just took lessons right away. You're right, man. I have never seen a guy hit a ball farther in my life than Sterling Sharp.
I say this to people
ridiculous.
all the time. I play with pros. I play with Sean Pfister. No one hits it further than Sterling Sharp. It's unbelievable to watch.
Absolutely incredible. And the other one is, and you can leave me out of it because I know how great I was when I sang at one of your contests when Notre Dame beat South Carolina and you lost that bet. Who is the best athlete singer that you have heard?
The best song I ever heard sung by an athlete in one of my shows was when Don Mikowski got up and did "Let Her Cry" at one of my shows.
Wow. Really?
Magic Man.
I couldn't believe it.
He had some pipes, huh?
And I was like, that's how I wrote it. That's how I wrote it. And it was, he was real good.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, Darius, we're running up against the clock. We appreciate it. By the way, I just want to get this out of the way. Your Super Bowl prediction?
I don't believe you.
There you go.
Yeah.
we appreciate you.
I don't want to pick the Patriots again, so I had to go out on the limb.
All right, you did. And the Giants was that. By the way, we had Pat Shurmur on, and we told him he's going to be undefeated. So you're probably right.
Yeah, and by the way, for the DraftKings this year, we appreciate your donations.
Absolutely. If I just win 1 week, y'all going to hear about it all year.
Oh, count on it. All right, Darius. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Darius. See you, man.
Take care, you guys.
By the way, his laugh is almost as good as Junior's.
His laugh
is almost
so
as good as Junior's.
His voice is so distinctive. It's such a good guy. He and
great.
His band, the whole thing, and obviously he was in Charleston. I know he got together with Hootie again. They were playing. He did with Jason Aldean in July. Hootie and was playing in that as well. So along with the fellas he plays with on his country tour. It's fantastic. Good dudes.
Absolutely is. All right, coming up, Ben Roethlisberger was asked what he'd say to Le'Veon Bell, and you'll hear it next.
Here's a little insider travel secret. There are tons of empty hotel rooms out there just waiting to be booked. That's why there's Hotel Tonight. Hotel Tonight partners with awesome hotels to help them fill their unsold rooms, which means you get incredible deals. And even though the name's Hotel Tonight, you can actually book in advance for tonight, tomorrow, and beyond. So if you want to start scoring amazing deals at incredible hotels, start using Hotel Tonight now.
Wow. So anyway, you have the laugh of a 74-year-old grandfather.
It's a Santa Claus laugh.
That was really good, Trent.
That was.
That is the junior laugh.
It hasn't taken you long to get it down. I'm proud of you, right?
That's Junior.
It's incredible. Incredible. SportsCenter brought to you by AutoZone. We've all had a bad day on the golf course, sadly. It's not always easy to find a fix for your golf game, but it is easy to find a fix for your check engine light at AutoZone. The free AutoZone Fix Finder tool is going to find the likely issue, saving you money down the road. Get in the zone. AutoZone. You have Mike's laugh down. Can you get Darius's laugh
He's
down?
like a staccato.
It's so distinctive.
It's a little different. Like
yeah, you have to work on that one. He's got a little more bass in it.
He's got a little more chortle in it.
Yeah.
Darius, I'm working on that one.
Okay.
By the way, you know what's better than a good day at work?
What's that?
A bad day on the golf course.
There you go.
Here we go. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. One of the big topics we've been talking about all day is Le'Veon Bell's holdout and the reaction the Steelers have had to it. Ben Roethlisberger was asked a very specific question about what he would say if he saw Le'Veon.
What do you say to Le'Veon when he does get here?
Hello?
So he said hello. So being who we are, the pettiest show in America, we decided to take it one step further.
What do you say to Le'Veon when he does get here?
Hello?
Hello from inside of Heinz. I'll call or run play every time to tell you I'm sorry for everything that you've done. But when I call, you never seem to be in the eye. Hello from inside of Heinz. At least Connor can say he tried. Also, Ramon is sorry for talking that bleep, but it don't matter, it clearly doesn't tell you apart anymore.
Hello?
That was so bad, it's wonderful.
I don't even know what to say, outside of maybe burn that.
No, play it again.
Wow.
We're going to run that one again. That was Jer Bear doing Adele's Hello.
That is the thing going forward, because the players all spoke out. And as I said, and I think many former players disagree with those players speaking publicly about another man's money. Again, we'll have Tedy Bruschi in here at 9:30 Eastern. I believe he feels the same way. I heard him talking on NFL Live about that, and others have commented on Twitter as well. But let's go forward. He's not going to be there in week one, so what is going to happen? You heard Ben say, I'm going to say hello to him. A lot of times this is what happens when it can get contentious. Most of the time you don't hear it publicly like this. But when the player comes back, especially someone as valuable as Le'Veon, you put it aside and you play.
Yeah.
And you go out there and you do what you're supposed to do. One of the issues with speaking up the way the players did yesterday, which
they spoke up.
I disagreed with how you can be mad. I didn't say I wouldn't be mad or upset about it, but you leave that in the locker room, in my opinion, is now what's going to happen. Now you're in your second prep day for your first game of the season against a Cleveland Browns team.
By the way, there's more hype about this Cleveland Brown team than there has been in about a decade.
And when the media comes into that locker room, there's going to be 10% of the questions about the Browns and 90% of the questions are going to continue about this.
Right.
You're still mad at Le'Veon. Did you call Le'Veon? Did Le'Veon call you? What do you think about Le'Veon today? You've had a day to think about it. It's all going to be about Le'Veon. And I can almost guarantee you that the comments are going to be, we're not talking about Le'Veon anymore.
We
have a game. We have Connor, a running back. We're going to move on from this. We're not talking about it. He's not here. We're only dealing with the players that are going to be here. But they're going to be asked. They're all going to be asked about it, and that's one of the byproducts of talking publicly about something.
And that's the biggest problem. Okay, whatever their issue with Le'Veon, they'll work that out. But you always don't. You want to have someone to start a fire that you have to put out, and that's what they've done to themselves.
They all started
now.
their own fire.
They started their own fires. So you watch how quickly and different the tone's going to be today. People are going to say, "We're done with that. We're moving on." Because otherwise, you're right. They're going to get it a million times. And as Nick Saban would say, "So quit asking." Coming up, our pal Sal.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get pizza delivered right to the beach, the quad, or the dog park. Not at home? Not a problem. Find a Domino's hotspot near you and get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each. 2-item minimum. Handmade pan pizzas will be extra asked for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's Hotspots.
Brought to you by Capital One. Capital One wants to build a better bank, one that feels and acts nothing like a typical bank. It's why they're reimagining banking by offering accounts with no fees or minimums and one of the best savings rates in America. You can open a Capital One account from anywhere in 5 minutes. That's banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One, N.A.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get pizza delivered right to the beach, the quad, or the dog park. Not at home? Not a problem. Find a Domino's hotspot near you and get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each. 2-item minimum. Handmade pan pizzas will be extra asked for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's Hotspots.
I was happy when we started the show this morning. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. I'm so much happier now.
Why is that?
Because this is the last hour of this show that we will do without a regular season NFL game.
Well, you really do countdowns. You really do kind of weird countdowns.
No, I'm just trying to fill 4 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
That's really what it is.
All right.
Isn't that what we do?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Couple hours.
I am excited about it. This is the last time. This is the last hour we'll have on the show till February, where there won't be an NFL game. That's
that
we'll
be talking about?
It's so great. It is so great. I'm glad you're with us. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You can get in touch with us. 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed at Golic and Wingo or call in 860-506-5505. So you don't do countdowns. You're not excited. You do the whole Christmas countdown. You get ready for all that. You count down from like the day after Thanksgiving.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't count down. I mean, I'm very happy the season is here. I try not to. Counted a lot of strokes yesterday on the golf course.
Yeah, what was going on yesterday?
Tough off the tee.
See, everybody
pretty good
says,
irons, pretty good putting, decent putting. Greens are bad everywhere around here because of the weather.
We had that horrible rain and then 95 degrees and that kind of grass here. It doesn't
struggling off the tee.
See, that's the thing. People say drive for show, putt for dough.
Yeah.
No way. If you can't get off the tee, the game is miserable.
I'd actually like to hit a second shot from the fairway. I'd like to see what that's like.
Yeah.
Me and Tiger.
Yeah, I was about to say you should have been with Joe LaCava. You should have said, "What's it like being in the fairway?" We haven't seen one
I'd
yet.
like to not hit out of the lettuce.
Yeah, listen. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. Oh, it's about chipping and putting. No, if you can't control the ball off the tee, the game is just brutal.
Yeah,
it's absolutely miserable.
And I told you this earlier, and one of the first things you said was, "I'd like to see that drive. I think I could help." Yeah, that right there is one of the reasons I don't golf with you.
I mean, how many reasons do you have?
Well, that's one of them.
now I'm a little offended, but I think I have this great.
You're telling me you could fix my drive?
I have the great ability to fix anybody's game but my own.
Okay, we'll play next week.
Yes.
Okay,
done.
We're going to Green Bay today to do our show there tomorrow. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It took 10 months and me asking you every day, do you want to play golf? And he has just offered it up.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
We'll play next week, one day. I don't know what day.
This is the greatest day ever.
Yeah.
He's agreed to play golf, and the NFL, is back, baby. Golic and Wingo reminding you we'll be live from Green Bay tomorrow covering the Bears-Packers matchup. And look, we don't need a reason to go to Green Bay. We say that in there, but we don't need a reason to go to Green Bay.
Are you kidding
me?
Green
Bay is awesome.
Green Bay is Green Bay.
It's brought to you by Progressive Insurance, us being on the road, cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more at Progressive.com. All right, get it all starts tonight, and we'll have a special guest coming up to join us in just a few seconds. But before we do that, let's get to what's trending. And sadly, this may not be happening anymore.
I want you to show Hey the way.
Look, he did show us the way last night. Shohei Ohtani homered twice, went 4 for 4, but that is so not the lead. It looks like there's more damage to that UCL in his elbow, and they are recommending Tommy John surgery, which means, Mike, Shohei is done until 2020.
Done until all of next year. I mean, so I get, because we've seen it work before where you just rehab the elbow and don't go right to the Tommy John. It has worked, so they were trying that, and he was batting along the way. I have no idea if that caused any of the damage as well, or when he came back and started pitching again for that one game where he went into the third inning and his velocity got slower and slower each inning, did he do more damage, which I think a lot of people are saying, why are you putting him on the mound when your season basically is over, just rest it for next year, and now you may not have a choice. So the damage was found in the MRI before the game yesterday, and he goes out and goes 4 for 4 with a couple of home runs. So 18 home runs he's going to end his season with. And listen, he lived up, right?
Oh, my
he
gosh,
lived up.
yes.
Early on, he tweaked his ankle, missed, I think, a start, missed a little bit of time. And then he was doing his thing. He was pitching well. He was hitting well. And then the pitching went away, but he was still hitting well. He lived up to what we thought, and we look forward. He's 23, 24 years old. I mean, what a future ahead of him. And now it looks like if he gets the Tommy John, like you said, he misses all of next year. I'm really stunned that they put him back on the mound this year.
Look, again, Mike Scioscia, the Angels manager, said before the game, we're concerned about his long-term value as a pitcher. So once again, I would ask, if your long-term value of Shohei Ohtani is as a pitcher, what are you doing even messing around playing him in any way, shape, or form this year? If you believe his long-term value to your organization is from the mound, then you have to do everything you can to protect that investment as a pitcher from the mound.
Yeah.
And we don't know if it was throwing or whether it was batting that aggravated that nerve in the elbow. But if you have to have Tommy John surgery, then get it done as quickly as possible. It just seems like this was not handled the right way all the way around. As we continue, Trevor Story had quite a story last night. The Rocky homered in his first 3 at-bats, one at more than 500 feet, and the Rockies beat the Giants 5-3 on Wednesday.
Yeah, and for the team-wise here, Colorado has a 1.5 game lead in that division, so that part is going well. And Story, you look at what he did, he is the first shortstop with a 3-home-run game in Rockies history and the first shortstop to do so in the majors this season. And by the way, he steals bases as well. First player with 30 home runs, 25 stolen bases in a season primarily as a shortstop since Hanley Ramirez in 08. The others to do that primarily at that position in baseball history, Jimmy Rollins in 07, A-Rod in 98, and Barry Larkin in 96. So don't call this guy, one-tool wonder here.
No.
It's impressive what he's done, but what's impressive about a 505-foot shot?
Yeah. I
mean, outdistance, it was in, 2016 when Giancarlo Stanton hit one 504 feet. So I got him by a foot. But those are shots usually reserved for like the home run derby.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Incredible.
Absolutely crazy. So again, the amazing thing is the Rockies, much like the Mariners for a while, the A's, all these teams that we thought weren't going to be in it, are right in the thick of things going forward into September. But for most people around these parts, September means one thing, and that's the return of the National Football League. And if we're talking about the return of the NFL, and it's starting in Philadelphia with the traditional now for 15 years home opener of the defending Super Bowl champs on Thursday night, who else are we going to bring in to talk about it on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line than our pal, your pal, Sal Pal, who, by the way, put on Instagram today, getting ready for the show with a newspaper and a big old cup of Joe and a Golic and Wingo mug.
Beautiful.
Sal, brother, you are the best. How is Philadelphia ready to celebrate one last time the championship tonight?
Oh, raising the Super Bowl championship banner at Lincoln Financial Field is going to be quite an emotional sight. These folks around here have waited a long time for this. Michael, you know the psychology here, the culture here. It's all about the Eagles. It's all about football. And it's going to be tough, Trey, because, in football, it's so difficult to separate the emotions from the X's and O's. Right? It's so tough to separate the psychology of the game from the schematics, especially in the opener, and especially in this game. There's so many conflicting emotions, so many storylines. This is going to be a very, very difficult game for both of these football teams.
So, Sal, obviously you're around this team all the time. Going into this season, what are your major concerns with the Eagles going into the season?
Well, it has to start and end, really, with the uncertainty at the quarterback position. Now that Carson Wentz is not starting tonight and they're going back to Nick Foles, and we don't know when we're going to see Carson Wentz. I saw Adam Schefter this morning on SportsCenter suggest it won't be next week in Tampa. It might be week 3 when the Colts come in. It could be week 4 when the Eagles go to Nashville. I tend to agree with him. I think it's in a major state of flux. So I think the quarterback position, you have to start with that in the National Football League and with this football team. I think secondarily, you're leading rushers in Detroit. LeGarrette Blount is playing for the Lions. That's 173 carries. When they needed to deliver a fistful of LeGarrette Blount last year, it was really important for them to have him. And he played an important role not only on the field but in the locker room. So I'm interested to see how Doug Peterson uses this running back by committee with Jay Ajayi, Corey Clement, and Darren Sproles returning. I think that's big. And then your leading receiver, Alshon Jeffrey's not ready to play football. So, I mean, you look at this game and this matchup, Michael, the way Dan Quinn uses a zone defense, you need Mike Wallace in this game to lift the safeties off the top of this defense and to make them play deep. Because if you have the zone defense crowded between the hash marks in this game, that's going to foil what I think the Eagles are going to try to do with their two tight end sets with Zach Ertz and the rookie Dallas Goedert. So to me, a guy who has been totally under the radar all spring, all summer, Mike Wallace, who still has some speed, he needs to get deep and he needs to catch the ball when it comes to him.
Sal Paolantonio with us as we get set for the start of the 2018 season with the home opener, the Eagles celebrating one last time the Super Bowl championship and moving on. And Sal, if they're going to have a chance to do what the Eagles last did in 2004, repeat as NFC East champs, and what the Patriots last did in 2004, repeat as Super Bowl champs, they're going to have to get play from Nick Foles like they got in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. What is a realistic expectation of the level of play from Nick Foles?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Trey. I think it is the million-dollar question. I think we can look for more like what he did against the Falcons in a divisional game, where it's, he'll be accurate, completed nearly 70% of his passes in that game. He won't turn the football over. He'll get good protection, and he'll be good enough for them to prevail, provided they get production out of their defense. To me, this game specifically against the Falcons, the Falcons have got a lot of swirling emotions too. They've got revenge in their heart. Yeah, they're a fingertip away from Julio Jones grabbing that ball in the end zone on fourth and goal, and them playing against the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship game. And, they still probably have a bad taste in their mouth down up on the Pats and losing that Super Bowl 2 years ago. So the Falcons have a lot of motivation. Redemption is a very powerful motivating tool in an NFL locker room. And I think the Falcons are looking for a big, big dose of redemption tonight.
Sal Pal joins us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line as the banner goes up tonight in Philadelphia as they host the Atlanta Falcons. Around the league, the big story off the field, Sal, Le'Veon Bell not reporting in Pittsburgh, and you've been in a ton of locker rooms and hearing players spew against him the way they did publicly. What were your initial thoughts when you started hearing all this come out?
Michael, how do you repair that? How do you put that toothpaste back in the tube? How does he go back into that locker room and then face the music? I mean, if I'm Le'Veon Bell, I get in there real quick because the longer it lingers, the longer it festers, the harder it is going to be to repair, I think.
You're right, Sal, but the other side of this is we all know that Le'Veon Bell is not looking at 2018.
Nope.
He's looking at 2019. And these guys, he's more than likely not going to be teammates with them. So to me, I don't know if it speeds it up or it makes him dig in his heels even farther.
Well, it's almost like a gots-to-go situation, to quote our friend Tony Kornheiser. It's like, maybe they just have to move on, trade him to a team that's going to pay him. But that's problematic. Who's going to pay him? I mean, it's just not happening around the NFL. The economics of the league are you're paying your quarterback and you're probably paying an outlier defensive player like a Khalil Mack or a J.J. Watt or a Von Miller. But even when you pay those defensive players big money, when does it really pay off for you in terms of a championship? Have the Houston Texans gotten any closer after paying J.J. Watt $100 million? Have the Broncos got any closer after paying Von Miller all of that money? Did the Dolphins come closer after they paid Ndamukong Suh all that money? It comes really down to the economics and how you manage your salary cap, and the guy who's going to get the big money is the quarterback, and in some cases, the wide receiver who's catching the football from him.
So do you not think that he can get at least a Todd Gurley deal, $60 million, $45 guaranteed?
Who? You got to have you got to have a dancing partner. Okay, sure, yeah. Then you got to trade him, right? Or is you just thinking about next year's?
No. I'm just thinking about next year as a free agent. That's all. Next year as a free agent. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Well, that's a pretty. I think it's a pretty far-fetched scenario.
Well, listen, I never would have believed that the Raiders were going to give up on a Hall of Fame player in their prime for 2 number 1 picks that are at best a 50-50 shot at being a starter, and you had a guy that's on his way to a career in Canton. So stranger things have happened. Sal Paolantonio with us, and speaking of stranger things have happened, when the Philadelphia Eagles had their Super Bowl parade, we saw what one guy did on the street, picking up some horse apples, just so they're not apples.
No.
He decided to treat them as apples anyway. So my question to you, Sal, is obviously the team realizes they need to move on and prepare for 2018. Is the city of Philadelphia and the Eagles fan base, who has waited for this for 50-plus years to get that first Super Bowl championship, are they really ready to move on and say it's behind them now?
I'm all over the place now. Signing books and talking to people about last year, and they're not ready to move on. This is a party that's going to go on for a long, long time. There's 2 to 3 generations of football fans in this town that have waited for a Super Bowl championship, and I think people will always celebrate it. They will always be savoring it. It will happen at the same time that they're going through this season. Like I said, there's a lot of conflicting emotions. You got guys last year who were injured: Jordan Hicks, Jason Peters, Darren Sproles coming back.
Right.
But Carson Wentz is not. So, but I think the fan base, the people here who have supported this team, I don't really like to use the word fan base because you got to remember these people have suffered, but they've showed up. That stadium's always filled. You can't get a ticket to an Eagles game for the last 10, 12 years. So they deserve to celebrate it. And I think the players and the coaches want to celebrate this moment tonight. They brought that championship to Philadelphia, that elusive championship. They're the ones that created this moment. So I think there are a lot of players who want to savor it. The banner's going to be unfurled. And there's going to be quite a party, and then we're going to play a football game, and it's going to, it's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy.
Is Sal Paolantonio with us, author of the book Philly Special, the inside story of how the Eagles won their first Super Bowl championship. You're right, Sal. I think a lot of players do want to celebrate it. One who doesn't is safety Malcolm Jenkins. He's come out and said, "Man, look, I don't want to deal with this. It's last year. I want to move on." Do you get the sense that he understands that the fans are being a little too rambunctious about this? Guys, we got to be pushing forward here. We live in the past. We'll be the past.
Yeah, I don't think he was talking about the fans. I know Malcolm very well. I'm going to his foundation gala on Monday, and there'll be a lot of fans there, and he understands. I think he was just reacting to the media questions more than anything else about the championship banner. But also, he's been such a tremendous leader in terms of figuring out what this team needs to do next. Whether it was the national anthem controversy of week 3 last year, he held the team together where other teams fractured apart. Whether it was after Carson Wentz got hurt in Los Angeles, he was the one that delivered the speech in the locker room that rallied the psychology of the team that was really down. He's the guy who delivered the blow to Brandon Cooks in the Super Bowl. So he has a perfect right to say what he wants to about this, and I think he completely understands what it means to the city, and I think he also completely understands that this team, if they're going to have a chance to repeat, has to turn the page. You know, there was only 3 repeat division winners last year. New England, Pittsburgh, and Kansas City, all in the AFC. No NFC team won back-to-back division titles last year. The NFC is loaded. It's competitive. It's volatile. You have to turn the page if you want a chance. And listen, the Falcons are going to be right there.
They are.
This is a very good Falcons team. As Doug Peterson told me during the week, he said, you know, we're looking at this for playoff positioning. I said, week 1, Coach? He goes, yeah, week 1. You know, head-to-head is very, very important. We got to beat the Falcons. It's going to be very important for seeding down the road.
Well, again, it all begins tonight, and there'll be a party at the Link tonight, no question about it. Sal Paolantonio, our great NFL reporter, and again, author of the Philly Special, the inside story of how the Eagles won their first Super Bowl championship. Brother, always a pleasure to have you on. We look forward to talking to you all season long.
Thanks, Sal.
Okay, guys, thank you.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get pizza delivered right to the beach, the quad, or the dog park. Not at home? Not a problem. Find a Domino's hotspot near you and get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each. 2-item minimum. Handmade pan pizzas will be extra asked for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's hotspots.
Support for the Golic and Wingo Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying homes for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a whole lot of anxiety with folks. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about it. They're calling it the power buying process, and here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, they lock your rate for up to 90 days while you shop. Now here's the best part. If rates go up, your rate stays the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. You win either way. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Golic. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data record. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. Not only a great song, but the rejoin there was something that Tedy Bruschi put on his Instagram yesterday. It was 10 years ago, essentially today, that he did his first stint with us, and I welcomed in on NFL Live. You put that up on Instagram, Tedy. I could not believe it's been 10 years.
I know.
I could not believe it has been 10 years already.
I remember right before this first show. I mean, it's in my first show. It was the director was in my ear. He said, "Okay, we're live on the Jib in 5." I said, "Yeah, the Jib. What's that?" Yeah. and then Trey says to me just to calm me down. He says, "Hey, man, look for the red light and talk football." And I said, "Oh, you know what? I can do that."
Yeah, seriously. How about that first time they put that sheet, the rundown thing in front of you, and you see Sot Vozot. You're like,
where are we running?
What is all this? What is all this stuff?
And what did I say to you? I'm going to ask you a question about football.
Yeah,
and you're going to answer.
I just highlighted wherever I saw my name and figured, okay, I'm following this or after this, and kind of knew when it was kind of coming my way. It is a bit like that first playbook, you know, that you haven't seen in a while, or with a new team when it's like a different language for you.
And then starting to learn how they try to get you sometimes in the later part of the shows, and then you figure out how to get on the computer and see the rundown. Like, oh yeah, I know how to spell Belichick.
Actually, of all the analysts, Tedy was the only one who ever logged into ENPS to look at stuff. And we'd try to put things in the rundown on NFL Live to surprise him. And he'd say, "Hey, what is this spells check? What is this here?" So we actually had to start putting in dummy pages in the rundown.
You.
Dummy pages in the rundown so we wouldn't know what was talking about.
I didn't even know how to get to ENPS till 2 years ago.
Listen, as I said, no one walked off the street into the studio better as an analyst than Brew. And by the way, that other picture, you still had your swole on 10 years ago.
I was still
doing yoked, dude.
I was still working on the neck machine about 4 days prior to that show. I mean, because it was, I retired and boom, right?
I think one of the ones that was the most full still body-wise is our buddy Stink.
Oh, yeah.
That picture.
Yeah.
He was about to blow up.
Yeah, he was.
He looked like he was Mark Schlereth in a Mark Schlereth fat suit.
Yeah.
But anyway, Tedy Bruschi, our ESPN NFL analyst for 10 years now, joins us in studio giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. There's been a lot of straight talk about what's going on with Le'Veon Bell, and I want to get your take on it. But this may be the straightest talk of all time. This is from Debbie, a Steelers fan, on the ABC affiliate WTAE in Pittsburgh about what's going on with Le'Veon Bell.
Very angry at him. I mean, I understand, okay? He got to eat too. He got a family. I get it. But at the end of the day, really, you can't take it with you, Le'Veon. If you don't show up, who cares? We'll do without. It's the Steelers. Like, we create the talent. We made you who you are. We made you what you're worth. End the story.
Debbie walking off.
Man.
Teddy, what do you think?
We made you?
People get emotional.
Yep, they do.
Offensive linemen get emotional. You know, when you think something's going to happen and another thing does. I mean, I played for the same team my entire career. I did what I could to stay with the New England Patriots, but still I understand what Le'Veon's going through and what he's doing because I mean, he's 26 years old. His leverage is running out.
Right.
He's going to be 27 in February. That's when hopefully he's a free agent, and he doesn't see a future right now with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They couldn't work things out. So you understand in the locker room that he's got to do what's best, how he feels, and you got to respect that. So for Foster and DeCastro and some of those guys, Pouncey, to come out like that, this is. I mean, Golic, we all know as former players, this is where you don't go in terms of getting into somebody's business, into somebody's contract, and this drama / distraction for the fans and the locker room. The Steelers have to find some way to just get by it and move on.
I could tell you were surprised at it. I was surprised at it. A lot of former players on social media surprised that they commented on it, that they were comparing contracts. I make 1/7. This guy makes a half. I mean, that was so...
It was a next level.
It was so stunning to me, and now it will just create questions again by the media today. As I said, you're going to hear today, we're not talking about Le'Veon. We got a game on Sunday. We're going to move on. That's what you're going to hear today. But it made me start to wonder, because people said, wouldn't you be mad? I said, oh, yeah, I may be mad, but that doesn't say, man, I'm going to say anything publicly about it. You keep it in-house. But because they came out so publicly, do you think there's more behind the scenes with the relationship with these teammates and Le'Veon?
I think it may be. I think did Le'Veon have personal conversations with them and give them assurances that he was going to be there? I'm just speculating, of course, but if I was told by a teammate that I'm going to be there and then he doesn't show up, it upset me a little bit more. But still, I mean, to me, I've always said the NFL truth. What do? I mean, they'll tell you something one week and then the next week something's totally different. You get used to that type of thing. Things change. Maybe Le'Veon felt good about where he was going to be in terms of, I mean, how the contract, how the talks were going, what the future was, and then he feels good about it and talks to them. But so you don't know. Things change within contract negotiations, within situations, how players feel personally about their situation. So you got to understand that type of thing. For me, going forward, I mean, this game versus Cleveland's big.
Yeah.
It's big for me because Cleveland, defensively especially, is no joke. And
they look great in the
it's not going to be a pushover, guys, for this. And winning this game, I think, is very important for Pittsburgh because it starts the move-on process. Because as the Steelers start to figure out how big of a distraction this can be for them in the locker room, because that first game that they struggle offensively, they'll be thinking about Le'Veon. I think so. And then so that type of distraction, knowing that he's out there and he can still come back. It's just like this little toy you have. Why aren't we using it? Maybe I should call him. Maybe I can talk him into coming. Or is he just coming for those 6 games and trying to get that accrued season? Yep. And when he does, and whatever our record is, and say Connor's doing good and we're playing good, do I even want him? Do I want him there to come in and help us for 6 games because I'm so emotional about how it went in the beginning of the year? So there's a lot of mental gymnastics, emotional gymnastics that some of these players can go through.
A couple of things on that trade to go off of what Tedy said is as far as if he told them something, the reason, and again, I don't know the absolute answer, why I don't think he said he was coming in this week, because they put him on blast pretty well yesterday. And if he had told them he was coming in this week, I think that would have come out while they were blasting him, and I think they would have said he told us he was coming in and he didn't, but they didn't say that. So
no,
so personally, I don't think that happened. And as far as when he comes in, the one thing I would say, because everybody says, well, when he comes back in, how is it going to be? Players have a way of smoothing things over to get a talented guy on the field. And anyway, everybody doesn't always get along on a team. So you just, you compete together. Yeah. But the one thing I would say to him, if you're going to be here, be here.
Right.
Be here and be willing to put yourself out there and play. Don't just be here and try and nurse something so you get through the season. If you're going to step in this locker room and on that field, step on it 100%.
Can Le'Veon squash it with them?
Yeah.
Well, how about him? Yeah. How about him thinking about, well, wait a second. Now you're talking about my contract.
Right. Yeah.
You're talking about how much I make. You're talking about my long-term career and making comments on it publicly. Can he forgive them to come back?
Well, that's the thing. You and I passed each other in the hallway, and we had the same sort of thought. This sounds like it might be something where they're thinking about, is it possible to extricate themselves from this? Is there a way, and we know it's difficult, but there is a way around this. A trade does it. Now, I understand it's difficult, but it might be the best solution all the way around at this point.
How do you move on? Yeah. How do you move on from this? Because it's as you can tell the reaction yesterday, it's an emotional distraction to your team. And like I said, if they struggle offensively, they're going to continue to think about Le'Veon and the decision he's made not to be there. If Le'Veon was not there and the Steelers just, I don't know, all of the recourse in terms of not having the signed contract, him coming in, having a sign and getting the 6 games, what they can do or anything like that. But him being there, him not being there, either way could be a distraction. Either way, so cutting the cord and moving on and try to better your organization, is that possible for them to do?
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be complicated. Tedy Bruschi is with us, and we're running out of time here, but I do want to get to the Khalil Mack situation because this first 4 weeks of the season is going to be very important for the Raiders. You lived through this in 2003, I believe, or 2004. I can't remember when they
cut Lawyer
Malloy. Right before the season opener, right. You guys went into Buffalo and lost 31-0. Now the beauty of that is Week 17, you beat Buffalo 31-0, which I can't think is an accident or coincidence. The exact same score, but you guys were angry after that, and you vented, and they needed the organization needed to prove, hey, we can still win without this guy. That's critical for the Raiders in this first month, isn't it?
Right. I'll just give you my example. When we went into Buffalo, and Lawyer's out there making plays, making sacks on Brady, and then they crush us 31-0. That week was one of the toughest weeks for me mentally to get back to saying, he's gone. He's gone, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's week 2. We got to go into Philadelphia and get a win somehow. That type of mental shift rather than feeling sorry for yourself, which I think we did going into that week. Our captain was gone. One of our best defensive players was gone, similar to what they're going through in Oakland. If they have lay that type of egg, that type of mental shift has got to be taken on by a lot of veterans that possibly have to look at it, to look at the head coach. And while you're looking at him and are upset about what you just did, what you just did to us, getting rid of Khalil Mack, all right, forget it, because I'm here to play football and let's still go win. We're with you. That's tough to do.
And they're playing the Rams. So,
on Monday night, by the way, who just paid Aaron Donald.
Yeah, they got a heck of an offense without Khalil on Rams do without Khalil.
So what if I'm a Raider on the sideline and Donald makes a play?
Yeah, right.
There's a player that got paid that's making plays.
That's
How come we couldn't do that?
Exactly. I'm telling you, the first 4 weeks are critical for John Gruden's credibility with going forward. Well, and by the way, let's not even forget they're the oldest roster in football.
Right.
The Raiders are the oldest roster in football. In fact, the oldest roster we found since we started keeping track of that in 2012. We'll see what happens these first few weeks. Golic and Wingo reminding you we'll be live from Green Bay tomorrow for the Bears-Packers, and just really to be in Green Bay because you don't need another reason. Part of ESPN's Radio Fall Football Tour, brought to you by Ice Cold Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. Brew, happy 10-year anniversary.
Right,
yeah,
great to be here.
Thanks, guys.
Wow, it goes,
coming up.
Doesn't it?
Hey, Golic, if I were to throw the lines open right now to discuss who's the GOAT, we'd have no shortage of opinions, correct?
No, we would not.
But if I asked men to talk about their health?
Crickets.
Yeah, a recent Cleveland Clinic survey found 56% of men prefer to keep health concerns to themselves and not share them with anyone, not even their doctor. Cleveland Clinic is ranked #1 in the nation in heart and urology care, and they've heard it all before.
Make sure to visit clevelandclinic.org/mention it for answers to those 10 questions most men are afraid to ask. as soon as this weather breaks.
Flip-flop Fridays, baby.
Are you kidding me? Thong Thursday?
No, okay, no.
I mean, absolutely.
No.
Wear the thong.
People are eating.
Oil up. Oil up is right. SportsCenter brought to you by Dell. During Dell's annual sale, Dell Small Business is offering up to 40% off select PCs with Intel Core processors. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with a small business technology advisor today. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
I'm going to need a minute. Cliff has done it again. He's done it to me. He's broken me. Kenny Chesney's The Boys of Fall.
There you go.
It's my special guy, Cliff.
Shh. Let him sing. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you. It's been a long summer. I needed this. Thank you, Cliff. Mike, say something.
I'm going to let him sing, which would be great for the podcast.
Summer book. Oh, I'm glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. We have made it. The boys of fall are here. Mm-hmm. Football season, the NFL starts tonight, and it begins with the traditional opener. And this has been really historically over the 15-year run they've had this thing. This is the 15th time the Thursday night game has started with the Super Bowl champs at home unfurling the banner. It started with Bruschi's Patriots in 2004. You know, it's been a win for the home team. There was the time that they actually played on the road, so I kind of take that one out when the Ravens had to go to Denver. So the home team has only lost twice. Only lost twice here. But if you include that Ravens loss in Denver that one year, it's a 3-3 split. The last 6 times this game has been played, including last year when the Chiefs went in there and remember Kareem Hunt fumbled on his first carry.
Oh, right.
Which he never fumbled at all in college.
Yeah.
First fumble, and he comes out with a monster game from that, and they go on to beat the Patriots in Foxborough. So this has been basically a crapshoot, Mike, for the last 6 years when you talk about the Super Bowl champs. And I think tonight's game is going to be a crapshoot as well because of so many variables involved.
Oh, without a doubt. Week 1, yes, you definitely are going to get a crapshoot. All we can do is kind of look at the talent that's out there, look at how they've played going from end of last year into this year, any new pieces out there, weather, which it looks like it's going to be low to mid 80s and humid because there's a chance of rain. So I think the humidity, I think that could favor Philly because that defense in Atlanta loves to live on speed. That could suck the life out of you.
So you're saying it's not the heat, it's the humidity.
Without a doubt.
Is.
Always is. And just kind of like it's not how cold it is, it's the wind chill.
Correct. Wind chill. Wind chill. I don't believe in wind chill.
And if it rains a little bit and slows the track down, speedier teams, that hurts them a bit. So we'll see what the weather is going to be like. I think Philadelphia has one of the best offensive lines in all of football right now. A bevy of backs back there for Foles. Yeah, Zach Ertz at tight end can be a really, really nice weapon for you in the middle of the field if you can back the safeties off a bit. I know a lot of people are kind of wondering about Philly because Foles is starting and he didn't play well in the preseason. I think they're going to be just fine now. Atlanta, listen, the weaponry they have. We haven't even mentioned Calvin Ridley, their top pick, the receiver from Alabama, who, by the way, basically had better stats than Julio Jones did at Alabama.
Yep.
But Julio Jones has been nothing but a stud in the pros. Dealt with some injuries last year. He and Matt Ryan need to get back on the same page as far as getting the ball in the end zone together. But so offensively they have the firepower. Will they run the ball enough though to control the ball? I think that's a big question. The second year Steve Sarkisian calling the plays, maybe they'll settle into a little better rhythm than I think last year they were really kind of a pass happy team.
I agree. So in the less than a minute that we have left, the one thing that is the most critical to this game for me is Nick Foles. Can Nick Foles play at the level like he did? Not so much the divisional game against Atlanta where he was okay. But can he play at the level he was in the NFC Championship game and obviously the Super Bowl where he was MVP? They need to get something better than the divisional round and close to that, in my opinion, for the Eagles to defend. What about you?
For me, it's going to be the middle of the field. Can they back Atlanta's defense off? Can Philadelphia? Because I'm picking them to win with either the backs or the tight ends. I don't see a lot of balls going far downfield tonight. I see shorter to medium passes for the Eagles if they can open up the middle.
All right. Again, it all begins tonight. The Eagles fans will probably not want to put away what happened a year ago, but we got football, baby. We got football tonight, and we'll be in Green Bay tomorrow. Play golf today?
No.
Okay, just checking.
No.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations. Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get pizza delivered right to